A new report has dropped that reveals the Golden State Warriors are interested in making a trade once again with the Toronto Raptors, but now for Bruce Brown. Obviously, Bruce Brown has been highly coveted across the NBA from different teams. It feels like half the league is interested in acquiring Bruce Brown, but the Golden State Warriors have some interesting pieces and particularly an interesting package that I know will definitely have some Raptors fans excited and intrigued by it, but definitely others wanting to stay away. So we're going to break all that down in this video. But before we do, folks, again, over 58% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and we want to keep you up to date with all of the latest Toronto Raptors news with the trade deadline just around the corner. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with everything Toronto Raptors. But let's dive into this report. And obviously, you saw the thumbnail. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins has been linked to the Toronto Raptors for years. The Golden State Warriors, they are intrigued by OG Anunoby. They are intrigued by Pascal Siakam. Wiggins has had up and down play over his entire NBA career, but even over his Warriors tenure. And basically, him being Canadian, there was a lot of pieces put together along those lines. Well, now the Golden State Warriors are again interested in a Toronto Raptor, as a report has dropped from Brett Siegel, essentially, that break down DeJounte Murray, Bruce Brown trade markets, and the Warriors evaluating trade deadline options. Basically, he came out and said that pertaining to the NBA trade deadline at hand and what the options are for the Warriors that they currently have, Bruce Brown is on the Warriors' radar. Sources have said Bruce Brown is traded to the Toronto Raptors in a package for Pascal Siakam. Finds himself as one of the better players on the market this season. The Lakers, the Knicks have all been in contact with the Toronto Raptors in recent weeks, sources have said, and he was an instrumental part of winning a championship for the Denver Nuggets. So the Golden State Warriors are a team that are struggling right now, and they have sort of a big conundrum at hand because they're in a similar spot to the Toronto Raptors. Again, a little bit of a better record, obviously more established guys on their roster and Steph Curry that have proven they can turn things around if they enter the playoffs, but they have a ridiculously high cap sort of hit, not just for this season, but for future years. They have a limited window in terms of what they can do, much less for their big three, because obviously Draymond Green and Klay Thompson have taken some steps back in the last couple years or so, but particularly Steph Curry, who is still one of the top 10 players, maybe top 5 players in the NBA. They want to maximize that window. When you have a top 5 player on your team, or top 10, whatever you want to call them, I don't want to debate, the rankings in the NBA, but when you have one of those top dudes on your team, you want to maximize and milk that for everything that you can. So the Golden State Warriors, they're not a team that's probably interested in bottoming out, but they know that if they don't have flexibility to sort of improve this roster in coming seasons, then their hands are going to be tied to this Andrew Wiggins sort of contract, which, again, is really ugly right now, and he has completely fallen off relative to where he was during that championship sort of peak, where some were arguing he was the second best player on that championship-winning team. So, with Bruce Brown now available, a guy that has proven to be a complementary piece on a championship-level roster, offers more flexibility if things don't work out. We saw it with Jordan Poole last summer. The Warriors are willing to make sort of cap-saving trades because they are deep into the luxury tax right now, and they're gonna be for future seasons. So to off some of their long-term money to bring in a guy that could potentially help them in the short term, I mean, Bruce Brown is honestly the perfect fit for the Golden State Warriors in terms of what their front office is looking for, what their sort of, cap situation is sort of situated at right now. So, I mean, the Toronto Raptors have some leverage when they're negotiating with the Golden State Warriors. And obviously, we can take a look at the stats and everything that's sort of gone on. Bruce Brown, 12 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, solid three-point shooting, great defense, great cutter, is elevated by playing around better players. I mean, Bruce Brown, perfect fit. We don't have to go through his stats and what he can provide. Even with the Toronto Raptors, he's fitting in pretty well, despite the fact he has a very similar skill sets to what the Raptors already have on this core group. The Warriors would love to have Bruce Brown on the roster. So what could they send back? Well, matching money, obviously, I talked about the start, Wiggins being linked to the Toronto Raptors. The deal works. If you throw it into the trade machine, I mean, I don't know if I got the trade. I didn't even get the bracket, but basically you can trade Wiggins straight up for Bruce Brown. And looking at Wiggins' stats, again, not that sort of interesting to a lot of Raptors fans because he's a solid defender for sure. But 12 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. His defense has fallen off a bit this season. His 3-point percentage has been inconsistent. Again, 28 years old, 29, so he's not, the young guy that's sort of budding with potential, for future seasons. But in the last 5 games, he has been playing better, averaging 18 points per game, shooting 44% from behind the 3-point line. Again, a very small sample size, just a 5-game stretch. But the contract for Andrew Wiggins is what makes it very ugly. Andrew Wiggins right now, until 2026, 2027, it's going to be paid 24, 26, 28, and $30 million annually. So, I mean, that's not a good contract. That's a bad contract for what Andrew Wiggins is providing out there on the court. He's getting paid as sort of, close to max level guy, but providing very much role player level production right now for the Golden State Warriors. And the Raptors have been screaming, I've been talking in press conference after press conference, Masai Ujiri, about flexibility, keeping their options open, all that sort of stuff for the future. So why on earth would it make sense for a Bruce Brown, Andrew Wiggins trade? Well, that flexibility that the Golden State Warriors desperately need, that they really want to sort of see happen. They pay high bargain for that. And obviously the Raptors aren't going to be able to attach other assets to a Bruce Brown trade because he was just traded to the Toronto Raptors. There's regulations in terms of how trades can actually go down. Bruce Brown would have to be dealt in a package just on his own in terms of dealing with the Golden State Warriors, but I've flashed it a couple times already. The Golden State Warriors have some draft capital that they can definitely send the way of the Toronto Raptors. I mean, 2025, I believe they traded their 2024 pick. It's protected. So there's rules in terms of what deal picks they're able to trade. But if we could get 2026 and 2028 or from Golden State, those types of picks with an aging Steph Curry, 2 first-round picks for Bruce Brown, and then Andrew Wiggins, who, again, it's a bad contract. It'll affect the flexibility going forward in the future, but we need sort of someone to play that power forward, at least complement Scotty. Scotty and Wiggins can both play the 3 and 4 position. It's a positional need for this current Toronto Raptors group. You can, in theory, play defense. I mean, there's moments where Andrew Wiggins looks like an absolute monster out there over the course of his NBA career. And with Scotty Barnes, with RJ Barrett, with Emmanuel Quickley, he wouldn't be asked to be, the number 1, number 2 guy on this team, but he is capable of spacing the floor when he's locked in. And frankly, maybe you rehabilitate his value a bit. It's a tradable sort of asset in the future if you rehab his value, a couple seasons down the line. The Raptors haven't been known, especially, all seasons have, progressed. We don't usually land big free agents. If we can land 2 Golden State Warriors first round picks, if we can get 2, I don't want 1, I want 2. And then potentially the rehabilitation project of Andrew Wiggins, who is Canadian. I mean, Raptors fans in 2014 here, and RJ Barrett and Andrew Wiggins maybe later in that. But, 2 young budding Canadian stars at that point on this roster. I mean, that's a fever dream. Again, I'm not too worried about Canadian. I'm looking at just the basketball side of things here now at this point. That draft capital is good, and you can use those sort of assets to go different places. I mean, the Warriors have also struck out on a lot of their draft picks in the past, and they are going to be in a bit of a bind in the future here now. So those picks could be valuable, especially if you can get limited protections onto them. I'm not saying it's the deal to do. I don't know what the Bruce Brown market here is now at that point, and that is a big contract from Andrew Wiggins. The reason we dealt away OG, the reason we dealt away Pascal Siakam is because, the money just wasn't really going to work and things like that. But I don't know. It's something to look at. It's something to really grasp at. And I brought up a tweet. Basically, the Raptors were among the favorites to potentially land Andrew Wiggins in terms of the betting odds, just a few weeks ago. So it's not unheard of. It's not something that seems that far-fetched in terms of him being a potential landing spot for the Raptors. Again, multiple first-round picks on top of it. I have to question it. I have to look at it and not immediately shut it down. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Would you be interested in a Bruce Brown for Andrew Wiggins swap if 2 first-round picks were coming back to the Toronto Raptors? Let me know in the comment section below. But you guys are the best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.